Black Scully on, check. Got a little Under Armour t-shirt on, check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. I know I was supposed to go live at 4 p.m. today. When I tell you work be happening. So I had to go to work this morning, get everything taken care of. I got to go back this evening. So I'm like, you know what? It's no excuses. May is my power month. I told the good people of the college football world that I'm going live today. So guess what? I'm going live today. Another episode. This is 4 days in a row. I feel like we in regular season gear. This has been extremely fun so far this week. But what's on today's docket? We got quite a few things we're talking about on today's docket. We're going to talk about Jordan Travis' retirement. I'm going to tell a story about meeting Jordan Travis at ACC Media Days with my guy CFB Moon and director Mike. And it was really cool getting to meet him. Like I said, I'll get into that story a little bit later. We'll also want to talk about some of this Bill Belichick drama, I guess is what we should call it. I think that's been kind of real interesting. Also, we're going to get into one of our infamous type of segments on Governor's ruling today. We're going to talk about NIL versus NFL. And is NIL changing the guard of college football being the final destination? And is NFL still the dream? I believe NFL is still a dream, especially when you get to your second contract. Cha-ching, you're definitely living a dream. But we're going to talk about that. And also, we're going to talk about the other conference. That's the SEC. Their win totals. Governor College Football, hashtag go CFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of college football. We're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ
defensive
on
minds. They have to be better on that side of the ball. Alrighty. Happy Thursday to everyone. I hope you all are enjoying your morning. I know they kind of call this part of the year the off season, but you know, we don't really believe in that. We never really truly ever believed in that. So we're going to talk about some good old football. I want to say happy trails to Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis is definitely a guy that I'm a huge fan of. You can tell when we met him. We met him during the 2023 ACC Media Days, and that's when Florida State was kind of like buzzing. A lot of people felt like Florida team was going to be that team, and they end up being that team. I always wonder what would have happened if he didn't get injured. When he got injured, you know, what if they've been in a college football playoff that year? That was the last year of the 14 playoff. And would they been able to make a splash that year as well? Those are just things that kind of live rent-free in my mind, things that I think about. But in meeting Jordan Travis, it was interesting. I think I've told you guys before, at these media days, typically you have a main stage event. At least this is how the ACC do it. You have a main stage event. Then you have breakout rooms. And then sometimes you kind of see players just chilling around. Like this past year, we seen players chilling around. They were playing College Football 25 at ACC Media Days, and Maul was challenging all the players. My boy Lavar Ball, and he actually ended up beating what was the kid's name from? I think it was from Wake Forest. He ended up beating somebody from Wake Forest. They ended up following each other on social media, and I think they ended up playing again after that as well. So I don't know, it's interesting, but like I said, sometimes you'll meet these people, and then you'll realize that these kids they're 19, 21, 22-year-olds, and in Jordan Travis' case, I think Jordan Travis might have been 22 or 23 at the time. And then meeting him, I remember asking him, like, do you ever get tired of this shit? Like, I asked him just like that, like, always having to be on guard, always have to make sure he answers things in a politically correct format. And I asked him straight up, like, do you ever get sick of this shit? And he looked at me, kind of looked around, and he shook his head like, yeah. So him retiring, because I think he has the talent to play in the NFL. I don't doubt that at all. I'm not sure if his body will give him that opportunity. And the fact that Jordan Travis almost quit, I believe, football. I don't know if it was when he was at Louisville or right when he transferred to Florida State and he was kind of buried on the depth chart and he had to work his way up. But he almost quit a long time ago. But he's a guy that I know, whatever realm he decides to do, whatever he decides to do, Jordan Travis will be successful. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee that 100%. So happy trails to Jordan Travis. I'm really excited for him. I will keep up with him and see, what's up next for him. But you could just tell when you met him, one, he was a damn good football player. Let's not confuse that at all. But two, you could kind of see that his brain was spinning and he was just thinking about other things. Because you got to think about life after football. A lot of times I don't think people realize that athletes kind of have two deaths. They have their natural death when they die and leave this earth, and whatever your belief system is, they go on to whatever your belief system is after that. And then you also have that death, when you stop playing that sport you love. So happy trails to Jordan Travis. I'll be looking forward, like I said, to seeing what he ends up getting into next. Into other news, Bill Belichick is facing some criticism right now at UNC. I'm not sure why he's being criticized. I don't know why Ted Johnson decided to publicly criticize Bill Belichick, but he has, and he's saying that the University, of North Carolina should consider firing him, and it's kind of based on his relationship with his 24-year-old girlfriend. I believe her name is Jordan Hudson, and it's interesting that, like, this has nothing to do with football. Like, this has absolutely nothing to do with football. Like, Bill Belichick, I've always taken Bill Belichick as a serious guy. I can't wait to meet him at ACC Media Days this year. But, like, what in the world does this have to do with football? Like, you're talking about his girlfriend. I get it. Bill Belichick is, in his 70s, I believe now, when I think the girlfriend is, like, 24 years old. And I get that people have an issue with it. I'm sure people have an issue with Al Pacino's girlfriend being whatever age she is. I think she's in her 20s, and I think Al Pacino is in his 80s. At the end of the day, whatever your moral compass is, that's cool. If you feel like you want to speak on it, from, a man standpoint, or, whatever standpoint you feel like you want to speak on it on, this don't got nothing to do with football. He's not doing anything that's against the law. I get it. It's a huge age gap. I get it. But like I said, that really ain't none of our business. He's not breaking the law. I get it from a moral or ethic stand, and I definitely, have a way that I feel about it as well, but that don't got nothing to do with football, so why are we even talking about it? It's crazy that he even got to answer these type of questions. Think about how many Bill Belichick interviews we've seen over the years and how cringy a lot of them end up being. Like, seriously, like, just think about it. Like, he not giving you any context. So if you think he not going to give you any information as it pertains to football, what in the hell you think type of information that he going to give you as it pertains to his love life? To be quite honest, it ain't really none of your business. She's of age. He's of age. Yeah, he's old. Yeah, there's a big age gap, but that ain't really got nothing to do with you. Mind your business. That's people's problem these days. A lot of times people don't mind their business, man. People need to start minding their business, man. That's one thing that I think growing up in the area I grew up in. Shout out to Lever Street, shout out to Glass Manor, Oxon Hill, Maryland, all that. But, we learn how to mind our business early, because if you didn't mind your business and you got into somebody's business who you weren't supposed to get into, you'll have to get dealt with accordingly. Mind your business. That's the word of the day. Dylan Raiola signs an NIL deal with Adidas. Nebraska quarterback has secured a groundbreaking NIL deal with Adidas, and shout out to him. I think Dylan played really well last year. I know a lot of times he was kind of butt of a lot of jokes with the Pat Mahomes and the number 15 and how he had his hairstyle and stuff like that. But you could tell that kid really played. I was impressed with him his freshman season. I can't wait to see what he does in his sophomore season. So shout out to him. Dane Connors transfers from Rice to Houston. Dane Connors, fifth-year senior running back, transferred from Rice University to the University of Houston. Arguably one of the shortest moves in college football history. The school's only been 4.6 miles apart. I think he had over 15 yards rushing and 21 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. So we're going to see a lot of moving pieces. I think the portal window officially closed, but people are still not allowed to announce their decisions however they work. I think entering your name in the portal is what's officially closed. So we're going to see a lot of movement. We're getting real close to magazine season. I think kind of at least once or twice a week I go to Phil Steele's website to see if his digital version of his magazine is out yet. I promise you, I cannot wait for it. In other news, Arkansas enacts a tax-free NIL income law that became the first state in the United States to exempt student athletes' name, image, and likeness income from state tax under the newly enacted Arkansas Student Athlete Publicity Rights Act, signed by the governor, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and retroactive, and it goes back from January 1st, 2025. The legislation applies to NIL payments and university revenue sharing and ensures confidentiality of financial details. I think this is huge for the athletes. It looks like we got more people joining us. Shout out to everybody watching this now. You guys know I'm streaming at 3 different places. I'm streaming on My Governor of College Football Twitter, on CFB Nation's Twitter, and on YouTube. My apologies for the early stream. I know I told you guys yesterday, 4 p.m., but like I say, life be lifing. I work where I'm at. I am the manager. There is no other manager. I am the manager. So if something happens, I got to take care of it. So I'm supposed to work this morning, get off this evening, and then I was going to, go live this evening. But had to work a little bit this morning, and I work this evening, and I open up tomorrow, and I work all day tomorrow. That's just the cost of doing business. But I'll probably give you guys one more show this week as well. And then, of course, we locked in on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Kentucky Athletics formulates Champions Blue LLC. I was happy when I saw this. I don't know why I was so happy when I saw it. I don't know if it's just a sign of the times is what it made me happy, or, I believe in everybody having an LLC. I truly believe that. I love when I heard that Deion Sanders, before all of his players leave, he makes sure that they open up an LLC in some shape, in some form. So I'm glad to hear that. But the University of Kentucky has restructured its athletic department into a limited liability company named Champion Blue LLC, becoming the first university to do so in anticipation of the evolving financial landscape of collegiate sports. I thought this was important. I think this is groundbreaking. And shout out to them, bro. For real, shout out to them. And then we're going to talk about the SEC a lot today. Y'all know that I always call this conference the other conference. I have my reasons for calling it the other conference. I've said it before. I ain't got no issues with saying it again. It is what it is. And they know what's up. But more than half of the quarterbacks in the SEC, more than half of the schools are featuring new quarterbacks, which is interesting. A lot of times, you'll see like schools be, able to groom quarterbacks, and you see quarterbacks for a couple of years, but, with the transfer portal and the way things work, man, listen, we're going to see a lot of new starting quarterbacks in the SEC, so it'll be interesting. SEC hasn't won the national championship in a couple of years. Things are getting interesting. So we're about to get into our Governor Rules segment, and speaking of which, our Governor Ruling segment is talking about today the NIL versus the NFL, and it's college football, the new final destination. We're going to talk about that more after this ad break. Shout out to our sponsors today. Of course, it is always BetUS. You can get a 125% match bonus on your first deposit. Shout out to BetUS. We're going to go into this ad break. Look at you out here using all these other sports books, and you ain't even using the best one. BetUS. Get a 125% match bonus when you use the promo code CFB Nation. Yeah, you heard me correctly. 125% match bonus on your first deposit using that code CFB Nation. We know that college football is in the off season, even though we don't celebrate that. CFB Nation, we do college football 24/7, but there are plenty of things for you guys to bet on.
Who will have the most wins? OKC Thunder or Cleveland Cavaliers? Can Luka and LeBron make it all mesh to make it to the play-in tournament? Maybe you're a college basketball guy ready to risk it all for Florida to make it to the big dance.
Basketball isn't for you? Maybe you're a football guy. Well, BetUS got you covered with this year's UEFA Championship. Can Liverpool or Barcelona win it all? Will Erling Haaland or Harry Kane lead their teams to victory?
May is going to get popping when the Kentucky Derby hits town. BetUS has you covered in that way too, with all major horse racing events. Point is, type in that promo code CFB Nation and go get that money.
Alrighty, in this segment, this episode of Governor's Ruling, we are going to talk about the NIL versus the NFL, and it's college sports. It's college football, kind of the final destination. Truly excited to talk about this subject. It's something that came across, I think, what was this, a couple of days ago? I think I saw this, and I was like, this would be an interesting topic to talk about, because I think first of all, it depends on the sport. It's not as far-fetched as you think. But I do believe that also I can see how some people just deem it as like, yo, this is crazy. What are we really talking about? So we're going to get into this shortly. Actually, let me undo what I just did. And let me change that. Alrighty. Now it's right. So Governor's Ruling, NIL versus NFL. So let's talk about it. The dream of making it to the NFL typically start with the dream as an adolescent. When I was young, I wanted to play in the league, either football or basketball. I was nice up until my surgeries. And, as you work your way through grade school and become a premier athlete in high school, The moment you sign your national letter of intent, the dream starts to become a reality. So at first, it starts with a dream. It all starts with a dream. Like Biggie Smalls said, like Notorious B.I.G. said, Christopher Wallace, it was all a dream. That's how it starts. It starts as a dream. Then you start putting motion behind it. You start putting action behind it. And then I think the moment you sign that NIL, it's going to become a reality. Now, some of you may disagree with me. You might say, well, it doesn't really become a reality until you're drafted and you sign your first contract. But I think the reason it becomes a reality when you sign your national letter of intent, because you say, hold on, this is attainable. What I do over the course of these next 3 or 4 years can decide my fate as it pertains to making the NFL. So let's go back. We talked about this the other day. The Austin versus NCAA ruling back in 2001 stated that the current state of the NCAA as it pertained to amateurism violated antitrust laws, and that they should be able to they shouldn't be able to benefit off of these athletes' name, image, and likeness. But these athletes can't benefit on their own name, image, and likeness. And that's pretty much how NIL was born. With the explosion of NIL, now starts a new conversation of NIL versus NFL. A conversation that just a decade ago, we wouldn't even be having. Like, none of us even knew what, like, NIL was. Like, you may have heard name, image, and likeness, but we weren't saying NIL. And the only reason we knew it is because it was the O'Bannon case versus NCAA, if you were paying attention to that. But let's further talk about this point. Cam McCormick, who happens to be my spirit animal. I don't care what y'all got to say about Cam McCormick. That guy is my spirit animal. I promise you he is. Because he's I'm just here for a good time, not a long time. But he is here for a long time. But he has been in college football since 2016. I want y'all to let that sink in. What were you doing in 2016? Were you, like, listening to The Life of Pablo? Were you playing, like, you know what I'm saying, Madden 15, Madden 16 or Madden 17? With the New York Giants and Odell Beckham was the best receiver on the game? Like, what was you doing in 2016? I think we really need to think about how far ago 2016 was. That's why Cam McCormick will forever be my spirit animal, bro. Because he's here for a long time. Like, 2016 is crazy. Think how much college football has changed since 2016. Think about how much fashion has changed since 2016. Like, bro has really been in school for a long time. I think he's finally done. I want to say he's finally done. But I want to further talk about this discussion of NIL versus NFL. Arch Manning, starting quarterback at Texas, currently has an NIL value of $6.6 million. And while many people think he will probably be the number one quarterback off the board in 2026, it wouldn't surprise me if he came back to Austin one more year and his NIL will be somewhere around $8 million. Now, of course, if he's the first pick in the draft, I think he'll have a guaranteed, like, 4-year, like, $43 million. So that will put him somewhere around $11 million a year. And I'm not sure if that's, backloaded or front loaded. I'm sure it's probably, backloaded. But $6 million a year, not bad for 1 year. And if it'll probably somewhere be around 8 or 9 next year if he did decide to come back and play at Austin. But I want to continue this case, but let's talk about the WNBA. We see in the WNBA quite often players like Paige Beckers opted to stay in college for an additional year because her NIL worth was somewhere around $1.4 million, because she could have left last year and the year before that and the year before that. But that's significantly higher than her rookie salary. I think she got like a 4-year deal for $300,000 or a 3-year deal for $300,000. So right now as a rookie, she only making $78,000, and that was as the number one pick for the Dallas Wings. So what her trying to get some type of medical red shirt, being able to play another year in college would have probably been more fruitful than going. And of course, Paige Becker should definitely get some type of endorsement deal. So I'm sure she'll be able to bolster that money. But that's why you see a lot of these times, you see these WNBA athletes are in other leagues, or I think there's like a new 3-on-3 league for women's. It's another professional league, another way to make money, but it's not fair what their salary is, and that's why it is more profitable for a lot of them to say, yo, I stay in college that extra year so I can go ahead and get this money and strike it while the iron hot, versus going to the next level. Let's talk about Quinn Ewers for a second. Quinn Ewers is really the baseline of why I wanted to have this discussion in the first place, because I seen it. I think Josh Pate was talking about it. I seen some other people talking about it. So pretty much he was projected to be a much higher pick. there were talks before the season started that Quinn Ewers could be a top 2 or top 3 quarterback. And this is before the 2024 college football season started. But the fact that he was a 7th round pick by the Miami Dolphins is really troublesome. And it's troublesome for a number of reasons. Like, one, I don't know if his agent gave him bad news or what, because he could have stayed in college and made more money. Of course, the dream is making the NFL. Quinn Ewers definitely produced in college. But for whatever reason, he wasn't taken to the 7th round. I just don't get it. His production wasn't 7th round production. Now, I do think he landed at a spot where, and I hope people don't take this the wrong way. I hope Dolphin fans don't take this the wrong way. Tua is probably one bad play, probably one more severe concussion away to having to, like, they're going to force him to retire. And, of course, I don't want to see that. I really enjoy, even though he's in my division, I am a Bills fan. I really do enjoy and watching Tua play. But he's one bad hit from, being somewhere that, where he can't play the game anymore. So I think Quinn Ewers kind of landed at a spot that if he can go in and put the work in, he could probably see some playing time this year. I believe we've seen over the last 2 or 3 seasons, Tua has missed pivotal playing time for the Dolphins. So I'm not sure how many full games he's played or if he's had a season where he's played a full game yet. But Quinn Ewers landed in a good spot. But here's the bad news. Terrible spot to get drafted at, though. His overall contract is going to be $4.3 million, roughly around that, over the next 4 years. Granted, if he kills it these next few seasons, his second contract will definitely be worth the wait. That second contract will make it all worth it. But if he would have stayed one more year in college, he'd have had a guaranteed at least another $6 million. And there was reports that if he transferred to a certain school, his NIL validation might have been somewhere around $8 million. So right now he's going to be getting, what's that? Like $900,000 this year, or $800,000, something like that. So he's missing out on. You talk about almost $6 million, maybe $7 or $8 million as well for not staying back in college. Where do you guys stand on this subject? NFL is the goal, of course. That's the dream. That's the we all want to play in the NFL. We all dream playing for, whatever team our favorite team is and going down and having that game-winning drive like having that game-winning drive like Joe Montana. But I don't know. Like, is it still the dream? I think it's still the dream. Let's talk about Shedeur Sanders for a second. Shedeur Sanders was projected to be the second or third quarterback off of the board for most of what I heard for at least a better part of a year. He was projected to be that. And for whatever reason, he wasn't taken until pick 144 in the 5th round. And it really makes you think like, yo, what happened? And we kind of talked about that the other day. I won't get into that much at all today. But I'm just saying, if he would have either stayed at Colorado or transferred somewhere else, his NIL worth, he'd have made a lot more money staying in college than going to the pros. But that's the risk you take when you're trying to go to the NFL. What role do these agents play? Seriously, what roles do these agents play in this? Like, are these people getting bad information from their agents? Is their projections, or whoever their team is behind them, is their projections higher than what their projections really are? Like, say what you want about Shedeur, he's not 5th round talent. Say what you want about Quinn, he's not 7th round talent. Say what you want. I probably would have been a lot more, not probably, I'd have been more comfortable if Quinn went before a lot of the quarterbacks. I'm not going to say any names, but if a lot of quarterbacks who had went before Shedeur, I would have been a lot more comfortable if Quinn went before Shedeur than on some of those other quarterbacks that went for Shedeur. But we won't get into that. Let's talk about Xavier Restrepo. Like, think about it. If he could have found a way to play another year in college, he'd have probably had a decent amount of money. As far as NIL, he runs the 40 at Miami Pro Day. I don't know who in the heck. Somebody should have told him don't run that 40, because there's no way he should be UDFA based on his production. He runs a 40. Everybody sees he runs a 4.83, and everybody's scared. That's crazy. And I think he signed with a really good team. I think he signed with Tennessee, so it'll be with his collegiate quarterback, and he's going to go in and put the work in. But it really makes you think like, yo, is the NFL still a dream? That's really the question I propose to all of you. Is the NFL still the dream? So this is government ruling, NIL versus NFL. I just kind of really wanted to talk about this and kind of provoke thought. Like, how do y'all feel about this subject? Quinn Ewers made the right choice in going to the NFL. Nobody can tell me differently. Shedeur Sanders made the right choice in going to the NFL. Nobody can tell me differently. Paige Beckers made the right choice when she decided to say, hey, I could have entered the 2024 WNBA draft, but I'm going to go back to college, get more of this bag before I have to start working 2 jobs when I go to the WNBA. The WNBA is exciting. The sport is exciting. I feel like they got players that we're all starting to know. These players need to make more money. College football isn't the final destination for these athletes, but it's certainly the final destination for me because I watch college football over NFL any day. And that's even twice on Sundays, and that is NFL day. A lot of times I'm at game on Saturdays, so at Sundays I'm trying to catch up and see what I missed. Being honest with you. Alrighty, let's go into our next segment, our Around the Nation segment. Our Around the Nation segment is focused on the other conference fan dual win totals. And I always try to save the other conference for last. I know a lot of y'all really like the other conference. Listen, it's the best brand of football you're going to get. I enjoy Big 12 football just as much. I enjoy ACC football just as much. But we all know the big names are in this conference. So let's talk more about the other conference win totals. We're going to go in alphabetical order. And let's get to it. Alabama, over under 9.5 games. I feel like that's friendly. They won, 9 games? Yeah, they what? Was it 9-4? Yeah, they won 9-4 last year because the bowl lost to Michigan. I think their SP Plus ranking was 2. Let's look at their schedule. They play at Florida State, then Louisiana Monroe. Then they play Wisconsin. Remember, Wisconsin them had the home-and-home series. It was in Madison last year. This year's in Tuscaloosa. They play at Georgia. They play Vandy. At Missouri, Tennessee. At South Carolina, LSU. Oklahoma at home. Eastern Illinois. And then they play at Auburn in the Iron Bowl. So can they win 10 games? So when you see 9.5, your thought process is, can this team win 10 games? And I think they're going to be better this year. I really do believe they're going to be better. I talked about this. I don't know if it was yesterday or the episode before. Kalen DeBoer has really tidied some things up around the Tuscaloosa. He's not having the video games and stuff in the locker room anymore. I think you're going to see more discipline. And with Ryan Grubb being back, I mean, the sky's the limit for this team. And I was watching Paul Feinbaum show the other day. Let me tell you something about Paul Feinbaum show. Like, I watch a lot of college football shows. I watch, of course, CFB Nation shows more than any other people, just because those are my guys. And the people that work with us and put out content for us are them dudes, in my opinion, and they're going to always be them dudes. So I watch us more than anybody. But I'll still catch a Joel Klatt episode. I'll still catch a Pate episode. And when I want to see some messiness, bro, I watch the Paul Feinbaum show. Like, Paul Feinbaum, if you don't watch his show on the SEC Network, bro, that joint's like the Jerry Springer of college football, man. My man Jim, I don't know if y'all know Jim, who be calling in from Tuscaloosa, bro. We got to protect Jim from Tuscaloosa at all costs, bro. He was going crazy the other day. So I don't know if y'all watched that show, but I was watching that show the other day. And just listen to how, like, Paul Feinbaum freely lets people call and speak on this show. They're not really censored much at all. I mean, damn, it is cable television. But my man Jim from Tuscaloosa got to be protected at all costs. So every time I think about Alabama, I think about Jim, who always calls in on the show on Paul Feinbaum show. So, Jim, if you ever happen to find this, I don't know if you will. This is like the 1%er type work here. Listen, bro, you must be protected at all costs. So, Alabama, can they win 10 games? At Florida State, what do you guys value Florida State? I think they can win that one. Louisiana Monroe, I think they can win that one. I love Luke Fickell. I do believe he's an amazing program builder, but I'm out on them right now. So I think they'll start the season 3-0. At Georgia, it's the measuring stick game. We'll see where they're at. Where's Georgia at? That'll be interesting. Vanderbilt, I think Vanderbilt got to come to Tuscaloosa. I think Alabama's going to get some payback. So depending on where you're at with Alabama, you probably have them after the Vanderbilt game at 4-1. At Missouri, I got them 5-1. Tennessee at home, them two seem to, like, you know, Tennessee will win one year and then Alabama will win. That'll be that third Saturday in October. Give me Alabama. I'm losing stock on Tennessee. I'm losing hope in Tennessee. And hopefully I don't offend any Orange fans. So I've been a big believer in Tennessee. But I really don't like how the Nico Lever situation was handled by him and his dad. And I also don't like, more importantly, how it was handled by Josh Heupel and how it was handled by Dan Lanning, if the reports are true. Because I believe we've seen some collusion there. Then after that, to play out at South Carolina, that is a loss for me. So right now, South Carolina in my opinion, is a loss for sure. Georgia, I'm unsure of. LSU, Garrett Nussmeier, Ty Simpson. That one is interesting. Let's say they won that one. So they still got 2 losses. Oklahoma, they'll win that one. Eastern Illinois, they'll win that one. And at Auburn, the Iron Bowl, that's the game right now that's really messing with my brain. That's the game, because they can lose to Tennessee. Don't get it twisted. Even though it's in Tuscaloosa, they can lose to Tennessee. But if I think Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer can cook up like they've cooked up successfully years past at other locations, I don't know. Something crazy always happen at that Iron Bowl. It really does. I'm buying stock for Auburn this year. I think you guys know that. But give me the over. I think Alabama will win 10 games this year. Give me the over. I think they'll find a way to beat Auburn. The Auburn and the LSU games are the games that scare me most. South Carolina and Georgia, I will probably get them losses on. So 10-2, I think, is where they are. Arkansas 5.5. Sam Pittman, he's still alive. He's surviving, man. Shout out to Sam Pittman. They got Alabama A&M. That's a win. Arkansas State, that's a win. That'll be a good game. At Ole Miss, what do you guys rate Ole Miss right now? I don't know, but because it's in Oxford, give me Ole Miss that game. They're 2-1. At Memphis, I think Arkansas found a way to win that game. They're 3-1. Notre Dame, that's at home, but they're 3-2. At Tennessee, they're 3-3. Texas A&M at home. Where you at with Texas A&M, everybody? Like, I like Texas A&M. I like the moves that they've been able to make in the transfer portal. KC Concepcion, if you don't know who that is, you're going to find out about him real quick because the production he about to have. Where we at with Marcel Reed? How much has he learned Colin Klein's offense? Is he ahead of schedule? Is he on schedule? Is he behind schedule? Those are questions I have for College Station. Truly the questions I have. So, that's interesting. So, we gave him to Alabama and A&M. Arkansas State. What was that? 2-1 after the Ole Miss game. 3-1 after the Memphis game. 3-2 versus Notre Dame. At Tennessee, I think they're 3-3. Texas A&M is at home. They can win that game, but I'll say 3-4. Auburn will be tough. It might be 3-5. Mississippi State, they can't win that one. I don't know what the team from Starkville going to be like this year. Let's say 4-5 at LSU, 4-6 at Texas. Nah, I'm taking the under. Sorry, Sam Pittman. Hey, I done believed and y'all done fought for you the last few years, but I'm sorry, bro. It ain't happening. Auburn, they got a tough schedule, 6.5 games. I think a lot. Listen, our friends out west, the people who make these win totals, they not stupid. They know a lot of us are buying Hugh Freeze stock this year. They know a lot of us are, bro. So 6.5 is crazy for Auburn. But at Baylor, give me Auburn. Ball State, give me Auburn. They're 2-0. South Alabama, 3-0. At Oklahoma, I don't care where I'm at. September 20th, I don't care what game I at. And I'm going to tell Moon this right now. Because Moon is the one. Shout out to Moon. He the one that set up the games for us. Him and D now do. Moon, I don't care what game I at. I don't care who gonna get mad. I don't care what field I'm on. If you think I'm not gonna watch Jackson Arnold put hands and feet on Oklahoma, you got another thing coming. I'm telling you, like Jackson Arnold, bro, gonna be must-see TV. I can't wait for September 20th. Jackson Arnold is gonna be must-see TV September 20th. I promise you. Auburn's 4-0 though. At Arkansas, 5-0. At Texas A&M. Damn, I got Auburn starting out 5-0. That's crazy because they can start out 2-3 too. That's crazy. All right, Auburn 5-0. At Texas A&M, 5-1. At Vanderbilt, that game scares me. I don't know why I'm at. Let's skip that one. At Missouri, that game scares me as well. Kentucky, I don't know what Kentucky is at. So at Texas A&M, 5-1. At Vanderbilt, 6-1. At Missouri, I can mess around and lose that one. 6-2. Kentucky, 7-2. That is interesting. That is really interesting. I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the over for Auburn. I'm going to take the over. I believe in Auburn. I'm buying stock in Auburn. I'll take the over. So Florida, 6.5 games for Florida. I doubted Billy Napier last year. You know, I think they're 17 for the SP plus. I forgot what Andy Staples had them at in his top 25. I betted against them last year. I ain't betting against them again. If they got to win 7 games, Billy Napier or DJ Lagway go get 7 games. So I'll take that one. Are any of these book'ems just yet? I almost want to book Auburn's 6.5. I almost want to. I really do almost want to. I really do. I am unsure, though. I don't want to book it just yet. I'm not sure if I want to book that one. All right, moving right along. We got Georgia up next at 9.5. That's kind of friendly. That's kind of friendly for Georgia. I expected them to have it like 10.5 or something like that. 9.5 is pretty friendly for Georgia. Let me pull up Georgia's schedule real quick. See Georgia's schedule. Alrighty. So Georgia, they play Marshall 1-0. And play Austin P 2-0. They play at Tennessee. That's gonna be a tough one. Damn, they got Tennessee and then Alabama and then Kentucky and then Auburn back to back to back. God damn. Schedule makers, hey bro, they getting Georgia back, bro. They getting Georgia back. Oh no, dog. So they play at Tennessee, then home versus Bama, home versus Kentucky. Kentucky gave a lot of teams scares last year. At Auburn, then Ole Miss, then Florida. Oh my God. Oh no, dog. They play at Tennessee week 3, Alabama, Kentucky, Auburn, Ole Miss, home versus Florida, at Mississippi State, then Texas, then they play Charlotte, and then Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech gave them a scare last year. I ain't got 10 games from Georgia. I'm sorry. I'm taking the under. I'm sorry. It ain't personal, bro. I'm just taking the under. I know I ain't supposed to bet against Kirby Smart. I know we don't do this. Like, usually I take the odds with Kirby Smart, but nah. That schedule's rough, man. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, bro. It ain't personal. I ain't supposed to bet against Kirby Smart, but it ain't personal, bro. I promise you it ain't. That's crazy. Their schedule is crazy, bro. Kentucky. Let's talk about Kentucky. They play Toledo. They play home versus Ole Miss. I watched the game with them and Ole Miss last year, a game that Kentucky had no business winning, and they won it. And this time they are at home versus Ole Miss. Then they play EMU. Kentucky could slick. Whoa, how many games did Kentucky win last year? They went 4-8 last year. Toledo's a dangerous matchup, even though it's at home. So Kentucky could be, best case scenario, 3-0, of course, after the Eastern Michigan game. Damn, they played 2 MAC schools out of their first 3 games. That Ole Miss game, Ole Miss is coming for blood, bro. So I got them 2-1. At South Carolina, I'm going with South Carolina. That Georgia game, like I said, I'm just unsure of. Then they play Texas. Damn, they ain't do them no favorites either. South Carolina, they play Ole Miss, then Eastern Michigan, then South Carolina, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, Auburn, Florida. Damn it, then they got to play Louisville. I'm taking the under, bro. I'm taking the under on Kentucky. 6.5 games. They can get the bowl eligibility, but I'm just taking the under. LSU, 8.5. They play at Clemson. LSU just don't perform well week 1, so I hope this week is different. Then they play they play at La Tech. Then play Florida. They play Southeastern Louisiana, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Vandy, Texas A&M, at Bama, Arkansas, Western Kentucky, and Oklahoma. Can LSU win? Can LSU win 9 games? That's the question we asking ourselves. I believe in Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett Nussmeier is currently my prediction to win the Heisman. So I'm almost forced to say yes, LSU will be over and LSU will win 9 games. I'm almost forced to say that. Let's look at their schedule again. At Clemson, even though I don't got them winning that one. They play La Tech, home versus Florida, Southeastern Louisiana at Ole Miss, home versus South Carolina. That is pivotal. And that may be their hardest game of the season. That game and then the Clemson game. But they don't play Texas. They don't play Georgia. So Clemson, I'm giving that one to Clemson. La Tech, Florida, Southeastern Louisiana, Ole Miss. They can beat them teams. Home versus South Carolina. All right, let's say if we want to give them a second loss here, we could. Vandy, Texas A&M, at Bama. That'll be a tough one. Then Arkansas, Western Kentucky, and Oklahoma. Yeah, give me the over for LSU. I'll take the over because Garrett Nussmeier is my way too early Heisman pick. Give me them. Ole Miss 8.5 games. Man, I was rooting for Lane Kiffin so badly last year. Many of you know that Ole Miss was my preseason prediction to win the college football championship. Last season, I just believed in everything that they had. I don't know where I'm at on Ole Miss this year. I really don't. 8.5 games is tough. I think they won, 9 games last year? And they really, if we being honest, they should have beat Florida. They should have beat Kentucky. I forgot the other loss that they had, but like, Ole Miss definitely had opportunities. Let's take a look at their roster. Logan Diggs is still there. Look like he gonna be the starting running back. Austin Simmons look like he gonna be the starting quarterback. Got Harrison Wallace. And Caden Lee, I remember him from last year. They got Deshaun Stribling. He's a transfer. How do I like that team? Let me look at their defense. They lost some pieces on defense as well. Human Nealon, brother, Princewell has transferred there. Deshaun Womack has transferred there as well from LSU. Didn't do much of nothing last year. Ole Miss, give me the under. I'm comfortable with 8. I can't say anything over 8 if we're being honest. Mississippi State, 5.5 games for Mississippi State. I'm rooting for Jeff Lebby. When I tell you I'm rooting for Jeff Lebby, I'm really rooting for Jeff Lebby. Let's look at their schedule. Let's look at Mississippi State's schedule. Alrighty. They play at Southern Miss, home versus Arizona State. Listen, if there's an upset pick I'm going to make early in the year, and this is probably going to cost me for saying something like this, but I think they get Arizona State week 2. So I'm putting Arizona State on upset alert in week 2. They play Alcorn State, then Northern Illinois. Hold on, goddammit. I like they can possibly win. They can possibly start the season 4-0. Or 3-1, or 2-2, just depending on where you rank them. That Tennessee game, I'll give them a loss. At Texas A&M, I'll give them a loss. I can see them 4-0. They're going to 4-1, 4-2 at Florida, 4-3, Texas 4-4. At Arkansas, they can come up with that game. 5-4. Georgia, 5-5. At Mizzou and Ole Miss was making it tough. If they can win one of those 2 last games, that'll put them at 6. And I think that the thing was, 5.5 games? Yo, the team from Starkville is going bowling this year, bro. Give me the over with Mississippi State, and guess what? Book it. Give me the over and book it. Y'all make the bet, too. I'm taking the over on Mississippi State this year. That's crazy. Mississippi State going bowling. Missouri, 7.5 games. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that at all. I really don't know if I like that. Missouri, 7.5 games. And if I'm not mistaken, they play some really good teams. Alrighty. Let's look at their football schedule. Missouri football schedule, 7.5 games. They finished 4th in the SEC last year. They play Central Arkansas. That's a W. What are we going to get from Lance Leopold in Kansas this year? It's a home game for Missouri, but I don't want to say that I'm just going to get that game in Missouri. Then they play Louisiana, then South Carolina, then UMass. They can certainly start the season off, 4-1, maybe 3-2. Definitely 1, 2, 3, 4. We can get they can definitely start the season off 4-1 or 3-2. They play home versus Bama, at Auburn, at Vandy. I think they'll get Van. How good is Vandy gonna be this year? Then Texas A&M, Mississippi State, at Oklahoma, at Arkansas. So that's Missouri's schedule. And I think they gave them 7.5. So they got to win 8 games. Do I see 4 automatic losses on their schedule? That is the question. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm taking the under. I'm taking the under based on the teams they play. And, of course, every team in the SEC plays a tough schedule. It is what it is. It's the SEC. But Oklahoma, is that right? FanDuel had Oklahoma winning 9 games this year? Mateer makes a hell of a difference, don't they? Six and a half. Oklahoma at 6.5 wins. Let's talk about it. Okay, Oklahoma won 7 games this year. Brent Venables definitely is coaching for his job right now, in my opinion. Let's look at their schedule. Illinois State, week 1, they'll start off 1-0. Then they play home versus Michigan. The Michigan game is going to tell us a lot. But then they got Temple after Michigan. So however you rank Oklahoma can beat Michigan. Because Michigan, if Michigan is forced to throw the ball, because they want to be one-dimensional, they want to be physical, they want to control the clock, they want to possess the ball, and they want to play good defense. If Oklahoma beats Michigan and start out the year 2-0, look out. Look out if Oklahoma start off the year 2-0. They play Temple. So depending on the way you look at this, right, we're going to look at this as a glass half full. Let's say they start the season off 3-0, then they play Auburn. It's no way I'm taking Oklahoma that game. No way. I just can't, because Jackson Arnold gonna come in there. Hey, bro, Jackson Arnold may get his Baker Mayfield on that game. If I see Jackson Arnold come in there, put the Auburn flag in the middle of bro, I'm going to lose my mind if he do it. I think Jackson Arnold may go Baker Mayfield that game, bro. I can't wait for that game, September 20th. I really can't. And I can't take Oklahoma in that game. So at this point, you either have Oklahoma 3-1 or 2-2. I'm going to have them at 3-1 because I think they can get Michigan. Then Kent State. Kent State, 1-23 the last 24 games? Who y'all think I'm going with that game? So 4-1. Red River Rivalry, October 11th. That's going to be a tough one. Y'all know where I stand at with Texas? Even though I feel like the Red River Rivalry omits how good both of the teams are. I really don't think that matters because they are both amped up for this game. I think we'll see a good game, but the schedule makers did them no favors at all. So they got to win 7 games. Right now, I think I have them at 4-1 after the Auburn game. The Texas game, give me Texas. That's 4-2. At South Carolina, I like South Carolina a lot. I like South Carolina an awful lot. But South Carolina always had that game every year. They don't have no business losing. And let's say that Oklahoma is that game. South Carolina should win, but they end up losing. So that put them at 6-2 or 5-2? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So at this point in the season, they'll be 5-2. Home versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss is beatable this year. Depends on how we want to look at it. Then they go at Tennessee. They're going to be looking for revenge that game at Alabama. I got Oklahoma in the Tennessee game. That's 6-2. They'll lose to Bama. It's 3 losses. Yeah, I got Oklahoma winning 7 or 8 games this year. And then what was it, 6.5? Yeah, give me the over. Give me the over. Give me the over for sure. We talked about them. South Carolina, 6. That can't be right, bro. That cannot be right. I know I ain't just read what I read. South Carolina win totals is 7.5. I'm not even going over their schedule. Give me the over and book it. Give a damn about their schedule. Give me the over. South Carolina win total is only 7.5 games. Did you not see what they did last year? We are losing it, dog. 7.5. That's friendly. I know they got a tough schedule, but 7.5 is friendly, super friendly. I play Virginia Tech. That's tough. Then South Carolina State, Vanderbilt, Mizzou, and I know that Virginia Tech game is think neutral site game. I want to say it's in Atlanta, but damn, Virginia Tech, South Carolina State, Vandy, Missouri, out the gate they can start 4-0. The game surprisingly that scares me the most is this Virginia Tech game. Then Kentucky, 5-0. LSU, they gonna want payback for last year. 6-0. Oklahoma, I'm gonna give them the loss for that one. They 6-1. Alabama, I think I gave Alabama the loss for this game. 7-1. Ole Miss or Texas A&M, they'll lose one of those games. So we looking at 8-2. Coastal Carolina 9-2. My stock on Clemson is higher than my stock on South Carolina. I'm sorry. So South Carolina finished the season 9-3. So I'm taking the over. What they say, 7.5? I'm definitely taking the over on that. But yeah, I got 9. Tennessee 8.5. I'm taking the under. Book it. I ain't even going over their schedule. I'm taking the under, and goddamn it, y'all can book it. Texas 9.5. They my preseason favorite to win the title, so of course I'm going with the over. Texas A&M 8.5. I don't know what Marcel Reed is yet. What do y'all think Marcel Reed is? Are y'all comfortable in where Marcel Reed is? That's really the $1 million question. Is he going to make the natural progression? He ain't going to have to look over his shoulder. He do got a hell of a target in case he Concepcion. 8.5 is friendly. They definitely was in the SEC again. What, they were a game out of the SEC championship last year. I just don't see it. I'm gonna take the under. I can see them winning 7 or 8 ball games. And Vandy 4.5. After last year, you thought I'd be comfortable with saying the over, but I'm gonna take the under on that. That is a wrap for this episode. It was fun. My apologies. I see a lot of y'all join as we got midway through the show. My apologies to everybody. Like I said, I was supposed to be going live at 4 p.m. My job be jobbing. Life be life. And y'all know how I go, man. I'm sure y'all probably at work watching this and ain't even supposed to be watching this, but I do appreciate it. As I always like to say, there are no more victories in a sport that survive in advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. And until next time, you all take care. Thank you. I'm not sure when I'll be live again. I know for a fact Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. I wanted to give y'all one more. I've been enjoying these episodes. May is my power month. Really love the month of May. Even my birthday not even in May, but I just really do love the month of May. So I'm not sure when I go live next, but if I'm y'all, pay attention to Saturday and Saturday morning. I may go live again Saturday morning, but you all take care. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ on
defensive
that
minds.
track.
They have to be better on that side of the